Joe Biden has challenged Donald Trump to a debate, and the Trump and Biden camps have agreed to 2 debates. We're going to talk about it, and this is a beautiful thing. So Joe Biden made a video, and it's a I don't know what you call it, a throwdown challenge video. He's throwing it down because, but Joe Biden's so cool and hip at the age of 369. He did this video, which I'm going to play you the audio of, challenging Trump to a debate. The video is 13 seconds, and it has 5 edits in it. I went through it twice and counted. Okay, 5 edits, which means he can't do 13 seconds in a video that's scripted without stopping 5 times. He did one sentence at a time. And I've been in video shoots like this with people. It's very frustrating. And you only do these types of cuts when the person can't do more than a sentence at a time. They can't remember the lines or can't read the lines. So you feed them the line, you film, you stop, you feed them the next line, and then you do it again, and then you stop, you feed them the third. And so they had to do that 5 times with Biden. Mm-hmm. But when Biden did this, the Biden camp, they came up with what they think is a cool thing that makes Trump look bad. And like deplorables, like the great MAGA king, and all these other things, we've got another phrase that we can embrace. Yes. In fact, I like it so much, I made it the thumbnail for this podcast on YouTube. So let me play this. This is Biden's Throwdown Challenge.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Okay. Now, the phrase is, I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Free on Wednesdays.
So free on Wednesdays, that's the latest.
That's the new COVEF.
Yeah, that's right.
COVEF or whatever that
Whatever they can. That one I never got.
New deplorables.
Yeah, we've got our new thing, free on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I like how Joe Biden says he won these debates against Trump. I'm not happy about this in that, because Trump's agreed to it, okay? Moderated by CNN.
Of course.
The problem with the debates, and this isn't true with just Trump, it's true with all Republicans. Whenever there's a debate between the Republicans and the Democrats, the moderators are always anti-Republican, and they're always covering for the Democrat. Even if you go to the last debates, I remember there was one moderated by Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace continued to cover for Biden and attack Trump. And then the other one was that new girl that she moderated the NBC debate, Kristen Welker, that's on Meet the Press now. And that one was in Miami, and she did the same thing.
Keep in mind, Trump challenged him first.
Yeah.
And that was like a month ago, or during the trial. He said, I'll debate him here. I'm in New York now. When Biden was in New York a couple weeks ago, he said, come to the courthouse. But they're acting like, they're the ones doing the throwdown.
Yes.
And the problem with it is they're putting out, they have CNN and ABC hosting them, and one in June, one in September. And the problem is they're making too many rules that Donald Trump has to follow. And they're doing that for either they want Trump to back out, which he will never do, or challenge some of those rules to make him look weak. And I think Trump would be smart.
Here's one of them. Okay, before you get to that, let me give you an example. This is the communications director for Biden on one of the rules. And I want you to listen to this. This is one of the Biden rules. This is Biden's communication director on CNN today after the announcement of the debate.
So you say no live audience. You want it in a television studio without an audience. Does that mean if the Trump campaign insists on an audience, no deal?
Listen, I think the Trump campaign made their proposal very clear when Donald Trump said he would debate anytime, anywhere, any place. And so what we want and what we have laid out is that we want to do this sooner rather than later. We should do it in June after his criminal trial is likely to have concluded and after the president returns from the G7 summit. It should be, yes, in studio with no audience so that the candidates can clearly articulate their visions for the country.
Is an audience a deal breaker? Is an audience a deal breaker for you?
Listen, it's Donald Trump who said he would do this anytime, anywhere, any place. So I don't think that they should have any problems with what we have proposed. He's the one who said he's ready to go. So we should be set to go once we have proposals in from networks. We're excited to debate. The question is, will Donald Trump accept it?
Okay, couple things with that.
That's really obvious what they're doing.
So what the communications director for Biden is saying is they can make up any rule they want, and if they're trying to get Trump to not agree to a rule as an out for the debate. I don't care. If they say they have to stand there in their underwear, Trump should do it. This is crazy. Now the thing about the
Trump
audience,
should just do whatever they say, no problem.
Yeah.
Don't argue with any of it. I'll do whatever you want, because if he challenges anything, that's what they're hoping for. They're going to run with that. And that's why they're putting up all these rules and parameters to make it where he doesn't want to do it. It's so obvious what they're doing. You know what I mean? And I think it makes Biden, again, look horrible and weak and stupid and severely protected by his inner circle. He's afraid of an audience. He's afraid of getting booed. He's afraid of Trump getting applauded. That's what that's all about. He's reading the tea leaves, and he knows that the country is against him. And he's terrified. Well, plus, it'll make him nervous in front of people.
I saw some people talking about this on X, about the no audience, okay? And what some people are talking about is this with Biden, that the loud crowd noises disorient him. Saying.
I think Trump should come up with some rules of his own. Anytime, anywhere, any place has nothing to do with rules. And he kept saying that. That doesn't have anything to do with the rules of the debate. Anytime, anywhere, any place. So I think Trump should come up with rules of his own, and he should say, fine, no audience, fine. Well, I have a rule of my own. The moderator can't help you. The moderator I'm not going to debate two people. I'm going to debate one person. Or how about no moderator at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, what if Biden comes up with this idea? Well, only Biden will have a microphone. Oh, Trump wants a microphone? No debates.
Oh my God.
The thing about the thing about the audience, though.
Yeah.
I like the idea of no audience, because
I do too.
What happens with these debates, the people in the audience, each side gets tickets and they pack it with their people. So you hear cheers and jeers, and it's all fake. They might as well just have like a laugh track, like on the sitcoms.
Yeah.
So I've always advocated for debates without an audience, but that's not why Biden doesn't want it. Biden doesn't want it. I think it's. He gets disoriented with the loud noises, and maybe all the noise from the applause will make it hard for him to hear what he's being told to say in his earpiece too. You know what I mean?
That's what I think is more.
That's what I think.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, and believe me, he's president, so he has access to all that high tech stuff where they can have earpieces that you could never find.
Yeah, you know those old movies you see where guys trying to talk to a girl at a restaurant. I've seen it in some movies, and he's wearing an earpiece, and he's got somebody in the other room telling him what to say on the date. That's what's going to be going on there.
Yeah. So, he's
now, just pathetic.
It's also an interesting thing. This communications director of Biden, he said they picked June for the first one because Trump's criminal trial will be over. Are they assuming no conviction? Right? This is a criminal trial.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't he be in jail?
There's got to be a penalty phase, and if there's a conviction, there has to be a penalty phase, and there's arguments to be made there.
Interesting.
And then does the judge order him to prison? So is the Biden administration and campaign projecting a not guilty verdict in the Trump trial in New York? I thought that was interesting.
I picked up on that too.
Yeah. Now, this thing, though, I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Yesterday—
Yeah, that's the new deplorables.
Yesterday, Jean-Pierre was asked a question about the trial, and she said— I played it on the stream this morning, so I'm not going to play it again now, but she said, I can't. That involves 2024, so I can't comment on that from here, which means in her mind, that she just said the New York trial is political. It's political.
Right.
So, it's part of their campaign strategy is putting Trump on trial. She admitted it.
I think there was a paper somebody talked about that that Biden had signed the search warrant for the FBI to go to Mar-a-Lago.
He signed the break.
And I really hope Trump brings that paper to the debate
and holds it up
and says, "You signed this search warrant to my house, and then you're telling everybody that you're not involved. Explain this." I mean, I really think he needs to bring some receipts.
Well, these debates are always risky for Republicans because they sabotage them, the liberals that put them together. If you remember back in the first campaign, there was one debate between Trump and Hillary. Remember the debate when he went in and they had the podium and the microphone like really low down to the ground, so he had to like lean over in a weird way to talk. He said something when he came out there. They set him up with the microphone and the podium. They made it way too short for Trump.
They're going to take this anytime, any place, anywhere as a green light to have complete control of everything. And it's going to backfire because it's going to make Trump – because Trump will do whatever. He'll say, fine, I don't care. But it's going to make Biden, look very weak, which we all know he is, and it shows you – how everything around this man has to be tightly monitored and controlled. And believe me, they are terrified. Trump challenged him to a debate 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's been a lot of pressure. So what they've done is they're trying to flip it where they're in charge and they're challenging Trump. And they're gonna try. Biden will definitely have the questions in advance. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. They will have the no audience. He will definitely have an earpiece telling him what to say. But, Trump is going in very pissed off more than ever because of what he's been put through and what his family's been put through because of Biden. And believe me, he's going to go in there guns ablaze, for lack of a better expression.
This little video of Biden's, everyone's picking up on the cuts. So it's 14 seconds.
Yes.
51 words and 5 cuts. I was right. I counted right.
It's incredible.
5 edits in 14 seconds. Isn't that something? Now, President Trump posted on Truth Social.
Yes.
Crooked Joe Biden is the worst debater I have ever faced. He can't put 2 sentences together. Crooked is also the worst. He calls him Crooked. Not even Crooked Joe, just Crooked.
Crooked, yeah.
Crooked is also the worst president in the history of the United States by far. It's time for a debate so that he can explain to the American people his highly destructive open border policy, new and ridiculous EV mandates, the allowance of crushing inflation, high taxes, and his really weak foreign policy, which has allowed the world to catch on fire. I am ready and willing to debate Crooked Joe at the 2 proposed times in June and September. I would strongly recommend more than 2 debates, and for excitement purposes, a very large venue. Although Biden is supposedly afraid of crowds, it's only because he doesn't get them. Just tell me when, I'll be there. Let's get ready to rumble. That's what President Trump said.
And now Biden, the New York Post is reporting that Biden's going to sign an executive order that they will stop people coming into the border once it hits 4,000. All of a sudden,
4,000 a day.
All of a sudden now, because the debates are happening, because he knows Trump's going to hammer him on the border.
Why is it a zero? Why?
Exactly. But he will. Now you'll hear him say, "I signed an executive order. I signed an executive order limiting." Yeah. He's just doing that now, like a month before the debate. What's been going on the last 2.5 years?
Now listen to this. This is the inflation. Listen to this. Since Biden took office, gasoline is up 55.5%. Groceries overall is up 21.3%. Eating out is up 21.8%.
You know what Trump should do because he loves McDonald's?
Yeah.
He should bring his favorite McDonald's meal, which I think is a Big Mac, a Diet Coke, and fries. Bring it with him and say, when I was president, this cost $6. Now that Joe Biden is president, it's $12.
Yeah,
that would be a really
good idea.
Good thing. If they do that, they got it from me. That would be a great thing for Trump to do.
Baby food is up 30%. Pet food is up 23.1%. Rent is up 20.8%. Electricity is up 28.5%.
But Biden will lie and tell you it's not. He'll just say it's not.
Used car prices are up 20.4%. Airfare up 38.2%. Public transportation is up 26.1%. There's only one thing that's down, and that's the real average weekly earnings are down 4.4%. So really, you have all these prices, you have to add 4.4% because people are earning that much less and the price has gone up that much. So like as an example, gas is up 55.5%. You have to increase that to 59.9 because of the loss in wages. I mean, now I understand if you're in the military industrial complex or you're stealing.
You're playing
stealing
at
money.
Bars in the Ukraine on your guitar.
Yeah, you're stealing money from Ukraine funding. Your wages are probably up, but that's not most people. The thing about a debate, CNN. I'm just not. I'm not crazy about Trump. He did well with. He does well with everybody.
Yeah.
But when he goes on CNN, whoever is moderating the debate is going to direct. I really believe there should be no moderator. I think when you're at the level that they're at, that you should be able to just have the two candidates up there alone.
I think Trump should let Biden set as many rules as he wants.
Oh, yeah.
And not complain or challenge any of them. Because if he does that, which I think he will, it will make Biden look very weak and pathetic, which he is.
Yeah.
Let him come up with 20 rules that have to be followed. Because they're going to keep, what they're going to do is they're going to, I think they're going to keep coming up with rules, hoping Trump will challenge at least one of them. And I think they're going to keep laying down different rules, hoping he holds up the red flag or puts in the white flag and says, wait. No. Don't do that, Trump. Don't fall for it. Let them have as many you don't need it. Have as many rules as they want because it will make Biden look very weak. And all he has to do is hammer him. And I'm telling you, do the McDonald's thing. Trump could even make a joke that I can't even afford McDonald's anymore. It's so expensive.
Exactly.
That's his favorite thing to eat. Take your McDonald's meal with you and talk about that. Bring some receipts of that paper that Biden signed to search your home, your private home, but he's not involved. Those kinds of things, those kinds of visuals, I think are so powerful to the American people. And you're going to see Biden lying over and over and over again. Like they said on Fox, Bill Hemmer, I watched the other day that when Biden did that one interview, he told 15 lies in like 14 minutes. They counted. Everything he said, he lied about. And they're going to be fact checking that stuff. Even on CNN and MSNBC, well, maybe not MSNBC, but CNN, when he lies about the economy, they will call him on it. They will say, that's not true. Inflation is up. People can't afford this. I've heard these commentators talk. They're like, unless he accepts the reality of inflation, and Ronald Reagan did the same thing. They played a video on Twitter of Reagan admonishing when he was running against Carter. He admonished Carter. He said, if you ignore inflation, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And Reagan told Carter that directly in an ad. He said, you cannot ignore inflation because it's a real thing. And that's what Biden is doing. He's ignoring it. He's actually telling you it doesn't exist, like Antifa. And let him go up there and say that. Let him tell more bullshit.
It's amazing to me that Biden and the people around him would think that he could do well in a debate against Trump. The only thing I can think
with
of
lots of rules
is what we're talking about, is that they're trying to they you got to understand with these people around Biden, they don't view Trump like regular people. They have Trump derangement syndrome. So I really do believe what we're talking about is how they're thinking. They're going to come up with all these rules, and he won't do it. Like, for example, they're
hoping he'll back out or say something.
Yeah, this thing about no audience. He loves crowds. He needs to have the crowd.
Right.
He's ego. He needs to feel the crowd energy to do it. So they actually think the conditions are going to stop him from doing it.
He should do whatever they say and go with it.
There is not a condition they're going to come up with where Trump's going to say no.
No. Let him bring it on. Let him bring on as many rules as they want. It'll make them look like idiots, and it'll make Trump look tougher, which he is. I mean, you really, that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Everything Trump has been through, I believe, has made him stronger. It's made him and his family stronger. They really love each other and support each other. And I think that to me, that rally in New Jersey, which was his biggest rally and the biggest rally in the history of this country, that rally to me was exactly what Trump needed. It totally, I'm sure when he flew in, I bet it almost brought him to tears.
Oh yeah.
I bet it almost, he's a sensitive guy. He's a Cancer, I think. He's like me. We cry a lot. And I bet no, he's a Gemini. I'm wrong. But I bet that made him very emotional to see that crowd overhead flying in. And I bet it got him choked up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God. And that was a game changer for not only him, for the media, for the Republican establishment. That showed the power of the people. That was a wake-up call to people, how popular this man is.
Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's so much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. We've only just begun. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Are you in sales or do you lead a sales team? Then listen up. If you're looking to increase your sales success, then you will want to add the new book from author Frederick R. Savoy to your must-read list. Raise Your Sales Game. Play, Win, Rise. Available on Amazon. Drawing on his own experiences, crisscrossing the globe, from the back streets to the boulevards to sales glory. Author Frederick R. Savoy shares practical wisdom and inspiring anecdotes that will take your sales game to the next level. Raise Your Sales Game is a heart-to-heart with a mentor who's been where you are right now and achieved the success that you've dreamed of. The author will guide you through the twists and turns of the sales game, showing you how to turn your setbacks into comebacks and rewrite your story on your own terms. Whether you're a seasoned sales pro or just starting out, Raise Your Sales Game will inspire you to aim higher, work smarter, and become the best version of yourself. No matter what type of sales you're in, this book is for you. And you sales managers, Raise Your Sales Game is a perfect gift when you bring someone new to your team. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Raise Your Sales Game. Play, Win, Rise. From author Frederick R. Savoy. Are you tired of those same old boring podcasts? Are you looking for a podcast that'll make you laugh and also discusses things that you relate to? Then add Meet in the Middle to your podcast playlist, hosted by award-winning comedians Dan and Andy. Meet in the Middle is perfect to listen to on your way to work, but not until after you drop off the kids. They teamed up together after Andy had let himself go, after being on national television over 5,000 times. Dan had to gain weight for his operation, and Andy had to lose weight to get back on TV. So they decided to meet in the middle and start a podcast. For over 250 episodes, Dan and Andy kept their podcast hidden from U.S. markets, but now they're ready to share Meet in the Middle with the world. Add Meet in the Middle to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can tune in too. Meet in the Middle on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Start listening right now. Discover a fresh twist on vampire romance in Ashley Lockwood's Shadow of Dark Desire. Follow Gwendolyn Moore as she navigates newfound powers alongside Cyrus, a mysterious vampire protector. Hunted for her power, Gwendolyn leans on Sirius despite their forbidden bond. As their relationship evolves amidst magical conflict, themes of trust, power, and resilience unfold. Lockwood's narrative, enriched by a diverse cast of characters, offers a captivating blend of magic and romance. Don't miss your chance to experience this mesmerizing novel, praised for its engaging plot and detailed character development. Shadow of Dark Desire is currently available for free on Amazon for a limited time. Dive into this enchanting tale by searching Shadow of Dark Desire and get your free copy today.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We have a lot to cover. We're going to get into everything that happened in the Trump trial today. Of course, another great day for President Trump in the trial as the prosecution continues to clear Donald Trump of all the wrongdoing that they've put him on trial for. But before we get to that, George Stephanopoulos, he's got a book out, and he's gone on a very bizarre media tour. Part one of it, he's on The View today. And then he interviewed someone, and he's talking about the deep state. Now, this person, George Stephanopoulos, he's a terrible man. He's a terrible man. Remember, he got to start. He worked for the first governor, Cuomo, the dad of Fredo's dad, and the other governors. And he left working for Mario Cuomo to go and work for Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And when he worked for Bill Clinton, what his job was to destroy the reputation and lives of the women who were victims of Bill Clinton, Paula Jones and those people, okay? He was part of the 3-person team. It was Stephanopoulos, Hillary Clinton, and James Carville, who's in the news this week. Of course, James Carville, which we may get to a little later on the program. So he's written a book interviewing and talking about people from the deep state. The book is called The Situation Room. That room where they found cocaine outside of it, the Biden Situation Room, they found cocaine outside. I don't know if that's in the book. But it's about people that work inside the Situation Room, right? Intelligence officials, deep state officials.
You know what's interesting? He didn't even write this book himself.
He interviewed people for the book.
Lisa Dickey. George Stephanopoulos, and then in small print with Lisa Dickey.
Oh, that's the real author.
I mean,
she's the real author.
This is a journalist. This guy is an educated guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Bill O'Reilly has people that help him too. I'm reading one of his books right now, but I just think that's a little strange for George Stephanopoulos to have her name in tiny, tiny print.
Mark Levin writes his own books. He has no ghostwriters. But so Stephanopoulos, it's about people that work in the deep state, work in the Situation Room. And I got 2 clips from today. The first one's on The View. And then the second one, he's interviewing a guy that worked in the Situation Room on January 6th. And that's what I would call foreshadowing, which we'll get to a bit. But first, here is George Stephanopoulos with The Coven of The View.
The book is so good. My favorite thing is that you interviewed Situation Room staff. I've always said that it's White House staff whose names you'll never know that are like the writers of history. They'll tell us so many details.
That was my favorite part about doing the book. I interviewed about 100 duty officers from the White House. And these are people that come, they're relatively young, people who come from all over the government, the CIA, the DIA, Defense Department, military. And, some people like to call those people the deep state.
Deep state.
Well, the big thing I learned doing this book is that the deep state is packed with patriots.
Yes.
People who go to work every single day on the front lines of the most intense crises the country faces and do it to serve their country and to serve the presidency, not the president. They don't care about political parties. They're there to serve the presidency and the institution.
And they're doing...
Okay.
But I thought the liberals always told us there was no deep state.
No, now there's a deep state.
So now he's acknowledging that there is.
There is a deep
we've been
state.
right all along.
Yeah, there's a deep state. They're patriots.
No, please.
Okay, this is what George Stephanopoulos says. They are patriots in the deep state. And yeah, they are. They're patriots. And they don't care who the president is. It's just a coincidence that the only time they openly take action against the president of the United States is Donald Trump. But they don't care who the president is. So he interviews a guy.
Give me a break.
I know. He interviews one of these patriots on Good Morning America. And this guy, he was in the Situation Room on January 6th when everything was going down. Now, again, these are the patriots. They are nonpartisan.
Of course.
They don't care who the president is. They have a greater calling. And listen, isn't that what he said to The View?
Yeah.
I don't think they understood what he was saying because they're so stupid over there. And I like how that one girl, the fake Republican on the panel, she acts as if she read the book. She hasn't read a book since, Dr. Seuss. Okay, but anyway, so here's Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America plugging his own book by interviewing a deep stater.
How do we keep moving? Where's the second in line?
It's kind of remarkable. And, what you're describing there is that you started to implement and go through the checklist of
The Situation Room did, yeah.
The Situation Room.
Correct.
Of what is called the continuity of government procedures. Describe what those are.
Those are originally instituted for if there's an attack on the U.S. government, how does the government, especially the executive branch, keep going? So that means line of secession. That means...
Go back for a second.
Yeah.
Did he say especially?
Did he? Let me see.
See, I was an English teacher. I noticed these things.
For if there's an attack on the U.S. government, how does the government, especially the executive...
Yeah, he did.
He said especially, another genius.
That's the secret government of the United States.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, inarticulate.
Especially.
Yeah.
That's what 5-year-olds say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the deep state. This is who's running the country.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Government procedures. Describe what those are.
Those are originally instituted for if there's an attack on the U.S. government, how does the government, especially the executive branch, keep going? So that means line of secession. That means how do we move to different locations, and how do we keep the government going?
During a riot of our own people.
I like how he says it so dramatic. During a riot of our own people.
And we all know what he's referencing.
A riot of our own people. He's very dramatic, very dramatic, Stephanopoulos.
Inspired by the man sitting upstairs.
Yeah, that would be President Trump, right?
Give me a break.
President Trump's upstairs in the White House, and this guy's talking about continuity of government. What he's describing here is a coup.
So now they're saying instead of Trump ordering people to do it, now they're saying he inspired it.
Yeah, he inspired it.
See how you got to see how their messaging
that's right.
changes.
He inspired it. So
and how it's fluid. Their messaging is fluid according to what they want to accomplish and what's happening.
Yeah.
In the moment.
So George Stephanopoulos just cleared Donald
Fluid
Trump
like genders.
of any responsibility because you can't help what people are inspired to do based on you. And if you hold people accountable because you inspired them, that means Jodie Foster should have been arrested for the shooting of Ronald Reagan by Hinckley. Let me get back to this. They
haven't been able to successfully convince people that Trump was responsible.
Yeah.
So now they've changed the messaging that just his mere presence, just his mere occupation of living in the White House is inspiring violence.
That's correct.
Just his existence alone.
So in this dramatic BS interview that Stephanopoulos is doing with this guy that was in the Situation Room on January 6th, what the guy's detailing is a deep state coup of the presidency. Okay? And I want to play the rest of it, then I'll get into some more detail on that.
How do we move to different locations, and how do we keep the government going?
During a riot of our own people.
Yeah.
Inspired by the man sitting upstairs.
Correct. But at the time, that's not even in the forefront of our mind. It doesn't matter how we got here. We're here. How do we execute? How do we move forward?
Did the president ever call down to the Situation Room that day?
Not to my knowledge.
Notice what he says, not to my knowledge. That's not a no. It's just I didn't know about it.
So, before that, he says, it doesn't matter how we got here. We're here.
That's right.
What the hell does that mean? And that we have to execute?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of very strange, almost speaking.
It's a coup, Kathy. It's a deep state coup.
But they're speaking in a very, it's a very coded language, almost.
Deep state speak.
You know what I mean? They're saying it, but they're not saying it.
What happened here is they did execute it because these are the people that cut President Trump's lines of communication off. Remember? He was knocked off all social media. They wouldn't put him on television, right? He couldn't, during the event, he couldn't communicate with the American people to tell them to do anything because he got cut off. And now what this is telling me, I'm going to rewind a little bit because
incredible.
It's a short clip, but this is one of the most important things I think that have ever come out about January 6th. The deep state did take part in a coup, an illegal coup of the presidency. And these people in the Situation Room in the basement of the White House, I believe, based on this little exchange with Stephanopoulos here, are the ones who made the decision to cut President Trump's ability to communicate with the American people off. All right, let's get back. And what I mean by that is getting him banned on the spot from Twitter and Facebook and everything. Remember that? And he was desperately trying to speak on television and online to cool things down, and he couldn't. Remember, the
minute he did, things did calm down.
They got a second Twitter. They knocked him off of that. So
meanwhile, with the riots going on now at the colleges, have been going on for 3 weeks now. Commencement ceremonies and all this stuff. It took Biden 2 weeks to say anything.
But this here, what this guy is telling us, this is like a confession. This guy is confessing and he's confirming that there was a deep state coup of President Trump's presidency on January 6th. And there's I hope President Trump has seen this. I know he's very busy in court today, he'll find out about it later. But when he's back in his second term, some people broke some serious laws. Okay, I rewound just a little bit. Let's just play the rest uninterrupted because it's a short clip, but very important words.
But at the time, that's not even in the forefront of our mind. It doesn't matter how we got here. We're here. How do we execute? How do we move forward?
Did the president ever call down to the Situation Room that day?
Not to my knowledge.
Not once?
No, sir.
Didn't ask what was going on?
Not to my knowledge.
Didn't ask how the vice president's doing?
Not to my knowledge.
Some people even question today, elected officials, whether the vice president was really in danger. You see a lot of revisionist history going on about January 6th. As someone who was inside the room that day, what's your reaction?
It's important to me that we don't forget that it did come that close. And that we did have discussions. If we lose the VP.
By the way, those sirens,
my Lord.
Those sirens are in the background of the George Stephanopoulos Good Morning America interview. They're not here, okay? Just so if you're wondering, if you're listening.
Inside the room that day, what's your reaction?
It's important to me that we don't forget that it did come that close. And that we did have discussions. If we lose the VP, if the 25th is invoked, we started running through all of these game plans because it was getting close.
25th Amendment.
Correct.
Okay. 25th Amendment. So this is an interesting thing. 25th Amendment for, I know we have people in other countries that don't know these things. Americans don't know most of the amendments, but we know a few of them by number. 5th Amendment, right against self-incrimination, First Amendment, freedom of speech, all that. 25th Amendment is the amendment to remove the president of the United States by the vice president and the cabinet and make the vice president the president, okay, the acting president. So this guy on January 6th is part of a team in the Situation Room. While Trump is upstairs in the White House, they're in the basement. They are making a coup attempt. I believe they got him banned from Twitter, Facebook, and everything, so he couldn't communicate, kept him off of television. And now there are 25th Amendment discussions going on. And if you remember, this 25th Amendment discussion went on for quite some time. They were actually talking about on Biden's inauguration day, that morning, they were talking to Pence about invoking the 25th Amendment so he would go to the inauguration as the president, Mike Pence. Remember that? So this is going to get back to Trump. He's in court with Michael Cohen and all this BS. It's going to get back to Trump. And these are people that need to be investigated, arrested, and go to jail.
Well, yeah,
now,
that's the real coup.
Now, I want to, before we break this down a little bit more, because this is very, very important, we're going to talk about it. But first, I want to talk about Mike Lindell and MyPillow. It is in Florida right now. Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, 91 degrees
Fahrenheit.
Tonight, expect a low of 80 degrees.
Okay, 91. Going to be 80 tonight as a low. We're going to be hitting the 100 soon, right? It's hot. But Kathy and I sleep perfectly every night, the perfect temperature, because we have Mike Lindell's 100% Giza cotton dream sheets. And I just got to tell you guys about these. The Giza cotton dream sheets are made of 100% cotton, and that's important. Mike Lindell says there's a lot of people selling Giza sheets, but they're only 10% Giza cotton, right? His are 100% Giza cotton. It's the finest cotton in the world. And there's a massive discount on these right now with our promo code Kane, the lowest price ever on the Giza Dream Sheets, the lowest price ever. Okay, and they come in every mattress size, many different colors as well. Because they're 100% Giza cotton, the finest cotton in the world, they perfectly regulate your body temperature all year long. During the colder months, they keep you warm and toasty. During the summer months, they keep you cool and comfortable all night long. It's absolutely amazing, the Giza Dream Sheets. The lowest price ever right now with our promo code Kane. And, of course, you can use our promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. And it's free shipping on all orders over $75 as well. So if you'd like to support the program, support all of my content, the YouTube channel, podcast, radio show, and everything else, and, of course, Mike Lindell, go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and load up. All right, there's a lot of great Father's Day gifts there, too, including the slippers, bathrobes, and much, much more. Promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at checkout. Okay, so this George Stephanopoulos book and this interview with this deep stater from the Situation Room that took part in a coup of Trump's presidency on January 6th, this is not an accident that this is happening now, okay? The trial is falling apart in New York. They thought they were going to have it. The documents case is falling apart in Florida. Fannie Willis, that case is falling apart.
Well, I thought it was very interesting. They had clips of James Carvell.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to that in a few. these cases are falling apart. So they're going to a new phase now. They're moving on from the lawfare cases because they have realized that the lawfare isn't helping them. It's hurting them, and it's helping Trump. They saw the rally of 100,000 in New Jersey, so they're moving on. So what they're doing now is what Kathy picked up on in the beginning. They're now saying Stephanopoulos and this deep state patriot. Remember, George Stephanopoulos says they're patriots. That Trump inspired January 6th. And the freedom of speech in this country has some limitations. The number one limitation on freedom of speech is that you cannot incite violence. You cannot incite violence. Even if you don't commit the violence, the incitement of violence is a crime, okay? And it's a big – you ever hear the fire in a crowded theater? Well, it's not against the law to yell fire in a crowded theater, but if you yell fire in a crowded theater and there's no fire and it causes a panic and people get stomped to death, you're responsible. You incited violence when there was no fire that led to the death of people. You understand what I mean? So what they're doing, this is foreshadowing. They're setting the stage to try to stop Trump by saying his very presence in the White House can incite violence, and that cannot be allowed. So with this Stephanopoulos media circus today, with this book, they let the cat out of the bag, and everyone, of course, is following the trial, and Michael Cohen's on the witness stand and everything else. Mm-hmm. So this isn't getting a lot of attention. But a lot of times people say, why do you listen to all this liberal news? If you watch the liberal news, they tell you everything they're doing. I don't know why, but they do. And that's what he did here.
Well, I think some of it is to put out feelers and to kind of everything they do is for a reason. They're always scheming and conniving and they just can't ever leave anything alone. They can't handle the will of the people. That rally was a game changer. It scared the hell out of them. And it got all these senators now, it's not an accident, and congressmen are all wearing red ties backing Trump and at the courthouse every day. That's because of that rally. I'm convinced. They saw that rally. They saw 100,000 people there. And they're like, okay, this is obviously where we got to go here. And I almost feel like it made them feel like it was safe to come out of the Trump closet, because I feel like they're afraid. And now that they see the support he has, they're not afraid anymore to come out and really defend him. Well, it's just not a coincidence that this rally happened. And now all of a sudden, every day, you got politicians with red ties. All of a sudden, it's been going on for weeks. Now they're there defending him. What happened? Sitting in the courthouse.
What's happened is Donald Trump has unified the Republican Party for the first time. The Paul Ryans, I know these Paul Ryans are still around, but they're out of power and fringe now. They're not in charge of the party. The Republican establishment has been defeated, and
look at the RNC.
When the Trump family took over the RNC, they defeated the old guard of the Republican establishment, the Paul Ryans and the Bushies. They're on the fringe. And started Friday with one of our senators, Rick Scott, but it's heated up this week.
Yes.
We've had 2 days of this trial in New York, and each day there's a different group of senior level Republicans that are going to court with President Trump. And today they're all wearing red ties, like Kathy said. And I was telling Kathy, I said these Republicans that went with Trump to court were all wearing red ties is like when the squad all wore the white dresses at the State of the Union. It's a sign of, it's a symbol of unity of the Republican Party. And Donald Trump, all this swamp draining, Donald Trump has successfully drained the Republican swamp and taken control of the Republican Party. And this thing with today, the Speaker of the House was there with Trump. And that's why he told Marjorie Taylor Greene to back off, because he had made a deal with the Speaker to be a part of this coalition of Republican unity. Now, I pulled up, you'd mentioned this with James Carville. I want to play this with James Carville, this lunatic rant.
It's very revealing.
That he went through in front of this whiteboard. And I was showing this video on one of my YouTube live streams over the weekend, And a lot of people don't really remember James Carville because he was around so long ago. James Carville used to be the third most powerful person in Washington, D.C. He ran Bill Clinton's first campaign.
Do you think he's still connected at all? Because I don't think he is.
No,
I think
he's
just looks like some crazy old Coup ranting from his house. Yeah, I agree.
He's out of the loop because the Clintons are out. But when Bill Clinton was in his first term, Bill Clinton was the most powerful. Number 2 was Hillary Clinton. And number 3 was James Carville for a time. Okay?
He's out of the loop, but he's important because he thinks the way they think.
Well, he's
like-minded, so what he says is what they're thinking.
I wouldn't say he's out of the loop. He's out of power, but he still talks to all of them. He's in on the meetings. He just doesn't have a lot of juice anymore, but he talks to everybody. He's in on the meetings. They might ask his opinions on things. But you got this guy who used to be the third most powerful person in the government in Washington, and now he's in some dumpy apartment with a dry erase board, looking like a lunatic. And let's play his rant, and we'll talk about it.
In Trump's Warhead than he's ever been. Fewer people think January 6th was any kind of what it was, is an assault on the temple of democracy, the Constitution. I don't know whatever the fuck you want to say.
Oh,
it's
lovely.
going the wrong way. It's not working.
See? It's going the wrong way.
Everything that we're throwing is spaghetti at a wall, and none of it is sticking.
Well, what he's talking about here is all the BS that they've done towards Trump. Mueller report to the lawfare, right?
Yeah, he's saying that everything they've done to try to destroy Trump is not working.
Mm-hmm.
He just said it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, all these plans, all these schemes, it's not working. It's not working.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say something else very revealing.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We'll play the rest. I had to rewind it, so we'll start it from the beginning, but it's good.
In Trump's Warhead than he's ever been. Fewer people think January 6th was any kind of what it was, is an assault on the temple of democracy, the Constitution. I don't know whatever the fuck you want to say. It's going the wrong way. It's not working. Everything that we're throwing is spaghetti at a wall, and none of it is sticking, me included. And it's hard when you start in your 80th year, and you like anybody else, I have an opinion of myself. And the opinion I've come to is, I don't matter. It doesn't matter. You can prepare, you can be on TV, or you can write pieces, you can have a YouTube channel, you can have a podcast, and nothing. And, we got to try to think of something different, because what we're doing is really, really not working.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't know what that means. Something different.
He's finally realizing what the wisest man in the world, King Solomon, said, that it's all futile, and it's like the wind. King Solomon, if you read Ecclesiastes and the other books he wrote, I think he wrote Wisdom, which is in the Catholic Bible, but Ecclesiastes, he talks about that the whole time, how he was the king, ruler of a nation, and he knew it was all for nothing. He had said, I had everything in the world. I had everything at my will. Whatever I wanted, I had. And when you die, it's meaningless because you can't take it with you and none of it matters. And James Carville is 80 years old, and he's looking back on his life, and he's realizing that things change, that he is not change the world. I guess he thought he could change the world, and it didn't happen. And he's like going through a major depression and realization here. And that with his own life, he feels very insignificant and small.
Yeah.
And it shows you that this is a guy who was on top of the world, like you said, like 25, 30 years ago. And he really thought he could change the world. And now Trump's come along and's ruined all that for him. And now he says at the end, we got to come up with something else because nothing's working. Why do they have to come up with anything? Why do they feel they have to come up with something? Why can't they just leave it the hell alone and let the people decide who they want? Who is he to decide who gets to be in the White House and who is the deep state to decide. I mean, it's very revealing what he said there.
A couple things he said at the end. The one thing he said is he feels like his life has been wasted because he spent his whole life.
That's true.
He spent his whole life building up the Democrat Party and has been wiped out by Trump. So his whole life has been a waste at 80
So
years
do you
of
think
age.
he's mad at Trump? I think he's mad at the Democrats. I think it sounds to me like he's really pissed off at them for letting it happen.
All this
in his mind.
And when he says we got to try something different, what he's talking about is they've lost the ability to influence the minds of people. And they've tried everything, right? Radio, TV, podcast, and they can't influence the minds of people. And the reality of the situation is the Democrat Party as we know it no longer exists. And if you look at what's going on with all these campus things, it's been taken over by radical Islamists and some very strange people. And the Democrat Party that he was a part of that brought Bill Clinton to the White House in 1992 just doesn't exist anymore. And it's over. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is so much more to cover. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Are you looking for that perfect personalized gift that's sure to make a lasting impression? Look no further than Callahan Engraving on Etsy. With a vast selection of engraved gifts, Callahan Engraving on Etsy have something for everyone. They offer complimentary engraving, presentation boxes, and free shipping on orders over $35. Whether it's for a special occasion or just to show someone you care, Callahan Engraving has you covered. You can choose from over 1,000 unique items, including awards, plaques, tumblers, cutting boards. They even have picture frames. Each gift is engraved with love and great attention to detail, ensuring it comes out exactly as you envision. If you're in search of a truly special gift, one that's personalized and sure to be treasured, visit Callahan Engraving on Etsy. Online at etsy.com/shop/Callahan Engraving. Etsy.com/shop/Callahan Engraving. If you're a fan of the girl who kicked the hornet's nest at Ink and Bone, then you'll want to add the book from author S.Z. Estevillo to your must-read list. In The Serpent's Bridge, meet Detective Nazario. Haunted by her father's unsolved murder, a case that has consumed her for 24 years, she's determined to uncover the truth. The killer, she believes, is still out there, targeting innocent lives. Now, as Mexican immigrants fall prey to a serial killer, Nazario senses a chilling connection. Sanctuary Baptist, known as a haven for immigrants, holds secrets that could unravel the case. Teaming up with her former lover, Special Agent Blake Huxley, the stakes are higher than ever. Can she stop the murders before more families are torn apart? Is this the same killer who murdered her father and left him for dead under a bridge? Pre-order your copy today on Amazon and follow S.Z. Estevillo on Goodreads. Put it on your want-to-read list and prepare for a thriller where the past and present collide with deadly consequences.
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Lisa, and my husband and I received our My Pillow 2.0 that we ordered with Kane the other day, the buy one, get one free, and they're our first My Pillows, and we love them. We absolutely love them. They're just absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I'm so glad. I got slippers on the way, too.
Go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and buy your My Pillow 2.0. Right now, buy one, get one free. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Okay, so one of the crew of Republicans that was with Trump today at the trial was Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, who is like front runner to be vice president. He was with Trump at the rally of 100,000 in New Jersey on Saturday. And I just want to play a clip of him talking. I thought it was pretty good. This is Burgum.
And, of course, we know that from the polls that have come out, even from the New York Times, Rasmussen Interactive this week, President Trump is leading all over the country. And the conclusion you could draw from that is the American people have already acquitted Donald Trump because the things that they're concerned about, inflation, crime, the border, the economy, all of these things, President Trump is leading by huge double digits versus Joe Biden. And the sooner that this scam trial can be concluded, the sooner that the president can get back to getting out, campaigning, and talking to the American people about the issues that matter to them.
Okay. Now, Burgum, I knew he was a millionaire, but he's not a millionaire. He's a billionaire. I just learned that today. He's a billionaire. And just so you know,
the kind of guy Trump likes.
Well, I do too.
Somebody who can't be bought.
Because when you're that rich, the special interests don't have
power. That's right.
Yeah, and it's kind of like in the first term, he had some guys that were so rich they couldn't be bought. The untouchables, right? So rich they can't be bought. But the reason I play that is I liked what he said there. He said the Burgum. He said you look at the polls. He said the American people have already acquitted President Trump, right? And I haven't heard anybody say that before, and I would love to ask him about that. I'd like to know if he just came up with that, or is that something they've talked about? Like, is that to me sounds like, I don't know if you agree, Kathy, it sounds like something the campaign would come up with. Mm-hmm. The American people have already acquitted President Trump.
Yeah.
I just thought that was like amazing what he said there. And I haven't heard him speak too much, okay? When he was running for president, I didn't pay much attention to him. And I don't think many people did. I know a lot of people are acting like they've been following him forever now. But all they did was read a Wikipedia, and now all of a sudden they've been following Burgum forever.
Well, I'm reading the
but he's impressive.
Updates on Michael Cohen's cross-examination started today.
I know, yeah.
And Trump's attorney said to him, his name's Blanche, he said, "Why did you say Trump belongs in an effing cage like an animal?" See, Michael Cohen has been on TikTok ranting and raving for months, maybe longer, and saying all these disparaging things against Trump. And now all those words are coming back to bite him.
Yeah.
Because it shows that he has an agenda and that he has a mission. He said, "You referred to President Trump as a dictator douchebag, didn't you?" Sounds like something I said, was Cohen's response. "You referred to President Trump when he left the courtroom, saying he goes right into that little cage where belongs in an effing cage like an animal." So the cross-examiner, I love this lawyer of Trump's. He's a scary-looking guy. I like when Trump comes out and he just stands there with that look on his face.
Yeah.
His lawyer, like, don't F with me.
Mm-hmm.
So the cross-examination has begun, so this should be interesting.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. And you know, this entire case, we've been talking about it for, I guess we're like kind of the third week, of it. And every single thing they have done has just backfired. And at the end of every day, Trump looks better than he did the day before.
That's what James Carville said. That's why he's so upset.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. And I'm really surprised at how well it's going for Trump, because the reason I'm surprised, I didn't think he did anything wrong. I knew he didn't commit any crimes. But you would think before you went to a court in a high-profile trial and you're putting a president of the United States on trial, which has never happened before, that you would have some evidence. And they've had to have interviewed these witnesses before they called them, right? Michael Cohen
I don't think so.
Yeah, Michael Cohen talked about how he was rehearsing with the Democrats. So did they not know that they had nothing?
Michael Cohen's only going to tell them what he wants them to hear. So they might not have been privy to all the information.
And now they don't even want to call the playmate. They don't even want to call her, which is amazing. I guess they had such a bad reaction with Stormy Daniels. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy was in the courtroom today, too. He was with Burgum and the rest today. And it was interesting what he had to say. I'm not going to play the audio, just tell you about it. But Ramaswamy said a couple things, and I thought it was interesting. First, he also talked about what a dump the courtroom is. He said it was the most depressing room he'd ever been in his life. This courtroom must look really bad in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It must look really bad. But he talked about how boring it was. And he said he looked at the jurors and they looked bored, like the prosecution was putting them to sleep because they don't have anything. And he said, I think that they're trying to bore the jury into submission. Like they want to get this over with and get out of there. But he said that he was listening to all the testimony intently all morning long. They've still not pointed to a crime that President Trump did. They got nothing. All they have is Michael Cohen's good word, right?
Yeah, which we know how good that is.
And he has no evidence of anything. He's just saying, believe me, a guy who went to prison for lying, believe everything I have to say. And Judge Janine on Fox said, I didn't know it worked this way. She was, she's a New York judge and lawyer. She said the jury instructions will decide the case, she said. Okay, and, I don't know, but that's what she said. And I'm assuming she talks to Trump. Wouldn't you think, Judge Janine, she's talking to Trump? She said in New York, if a witness has told a single lie in a case prior, you can assume that everything they say is a lie. Right? So now I don't know if the judge is going to give that exact instruction. He might leave that out because his daughter took the $10 million. But then Ramaswamy went on to say, and this was a pretty cool thing that he went on to say. He talked about the $10 million that the daughter took. And he said, could you imagine if this was the other way around? If President Biden was on trial and the judge was a Republican and the judge and the Republican judge's son or daughter took $10 million from the Trump campaign, the media would be going nuts. And you know what? They'd be right to be going nuts. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Also, let you guys know that our Patreon supporters, don't forget, if you're a Patreon supporter, you can, of course, get access to commercial-free editions of all of the podcast episodes. They're uploaded on the Patreon page, okay? And all Patreon supporters have access to that. Our top Patreon supporters get live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, Lee Zepp, Shauna, Constance, George, Brandon, and our newest top Patreon supporters, Rob and Trish. Thank you so much for all of your support. And if you would like to support the program, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode. We're all out of time for today. We will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my